Right, let's go.
Right, hello and welcome to this episode 19 of the Just Discourse Podcast with your host Monotone Max and the man with the lovely name, Matt Harpe. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, mate. It's it's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yes.
It's nice to. Apologies to the audience here. We didn't have one last week. I was on death's door. It felt like
Yes.
dying.
Matt was being a pussy.
I was being a pussy, dying with a paper cut.
Paper cut, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
They are pretty deadly, I heard.
They are. Well, the thing is, if you get it right between the webbing between your thumb and your forefinger, that's pretty nasty.
I have actually done that before, and it fucking
I've done it
hurts.
loads of times. You feel like an absolute retard, but it's it's pretty bad, dude. I was so went to work Sunday, get home. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. And I start to feel a little bit like low energy, a little bit weird. So then I go to bed, and I'm in bed. I'm just there, kind of like sweating and then shivering at the same time, and I'm like, what is going on? And that night I had full-on hallucinations.
Really?
Yeah.
About what? Good ones, I hope.
I had a hallucination
Were they
that
succubuses?
no. So number one was I was James Bond,
Oh, lovely.
which is a good one.
That's my favourite.
So I went to, where did I go? I was taken to like a secret cave where my car was kept, which
Right.
was not an Aston Martin. It was a 67 Stingray Corvette, which I was like, this is nice. This is my dream car. I like that. All the gadgets and shit. And then I was going through the Oracle, but the Oracle was actually like not the Oracle. Like everything was covered in these giant bubbles.
Right.
And then I was able to. My mission was to trace the source of all technology and the creation of it all, which actually led to a family that had been erased from history, and it's all from South America.
Well, this hallucination sounds awful lot like a dream.
Oh, but it was super vivid though,
Yeah.
like crazy vivid.
Were you
I was like,
astral projecting?
no, but I was like, this happened. The last time this happened was 18 months ago when I had COVID. So maybe it was that again, but I don't know.
And what drugs had you taken?
None.
None?
Yeah, most people have to take drugs to feel like this, and I had it just from I don't know, illness, being run down, something.
Fair play.
But it happened again. You know how I told you about when I had COVID last time? My Whoop recovery was like 3.
Yeah.
Happened again.
Really?
Yeah, because I woke up, I was like, shit. So I sent it to my work colleague straight away. I went, guys, slight issue here.
It's not working.
Yeah.
The body.
My body was just like, nope, or you need to reset. And that lasted for about 4 days. I was like, cool.
Sometimes you need to.
You don't need to be ill. What I think, what happens with...
No, but illness happens in the mind far before it manifests itself in the body.
but then how are we defining illness? Because it could be the effect that your thinking itself is a sickness. Your thoughts are sick.
Mm.
Speaking of sick thoughts, did you put a timer on?
No.
We'll do
That
that.
is a sick thought.
That is a sick thought, you know. Oh, that hurt.
See what I mean, guys? Listen.
Yeah, you're very the way you think. If you think in a negative or detrimental way to yourself, that is a sickness because you have a twisted way of thinking about something.
And you can run yourself down that way.
Yeah, but we have a family trait how we all all of us work full guns blazing every single day until our body's like nope, and then we'll just do this to us, and then we're in bed for a week.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I mean I know no different. So
Well, I actually tell this to my missus the other day. Is
what? How Matt's such a pussy?
yeah, exactly.
I get you.
We're always talking about you.
Yeah, well, obviously, who isn't?
But I said, you know, I go everywhere at 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
where most people go like 20, 25, maybe 30 miles an hour at maximum.
Mm.
Now, because I'm going 100 miles an hour all the time, every now and then I'm going to have a blowout. But I'm far further ahead when I have those blowouts than I am the people that stay at 30 and never have the blowouts.
Mm. Yeah, so
I mean, it's kind of a made-up analogy, but
it's the
I believe it to be true.
let's say if we take the tortoise and the hare, but because the hare's sprinting ahead, but the hare doesn't have a nap because he's overconfident. The hare like hurts his leg, has to rest for a day, and then the leg's healed and he carries on going.
Yeah, the tortoise and the hare thing I think is a bit far-fetched.
Well, not really, because tortoises and hares race each other all the time.
Obviously.
All the time. This story was based in facts, Max. Come on. But I mean, the parable itself certainly works because it's talking about overconfidence and arrogance and I
understand that.
the dangers you got from there. Or are you saying that it wasn't a hare? You saying was it a rabbit? There is a difference.
Who knows? But hares are a lot faster than rabbits.
They're bigger as well. They're like the size of small dogs.
Yeah. Anyway, this brings us.
Is this
on...
not what we're here to talk about?
This brings us on to our chosen subject for today,
Mm.
which we both agreed on being conspiracy theories, because there are many, many theories out there.
Yeah.
That are quite interesting. Some are theories. Some have actually turned out to be facts, and some of them are still, thank God, theories.
Yeah, because today I feel like this is. I was thinking about this on the way over. I was thinking today is going to be like an exercise in creativity for us. I feel to see what we can come up with, because as you're saying, there's the whole variety of what these conspiracy theories fall under. Because you're going to have if you've got two sides of the spectrum, you've got one on the left, which is flat Earth and is of people. Then you got the other side, which is JFK, Gulf of Tonkin, Operation Paperclip, or Jeffrey Epstein, or the moon, all that kind of shit. Where you're like, the first lot is utter nonsense. It's just like, why do you even think of this? And the second one is, we all know they're true, but it's just we're just collectively going, don't worry about it.
Or we haven't got the full information to be able to intellectually prove that they've happened.
And you know, I think the JFK documents I think they're locked up for like 800 years or something.
Really?
Is what it specifically says.
Well, let's start on that one then. So I don't know masses about it. I know that there's supposedly 2 entry and exit wounds. Is there not?
Yeah. So the official story is that Oswald is the one who killed him.
Lee Harvey Oswald
was the one who killed him and shot him through the head from the grassy knoll is where he shot him. But the body has 2 bullet holes.
And it was through the front of his head or through the back?
So it's supposedly that Oswald shot him in the head up here, but he has another one at the back under here. And they're proving the proof for Oswald is that they found the bullet which matches to the gun. So in the car, they found the bullet that killed him. But this is an intact bullet. So not just the shell casing, the whole thing, which, yes, it matches perfectly to the gun over there, but there is no ammunition on the face of the planet that once it hits a target remains intact. The only
so it'll either like dent if it's a
it
solid
will
one, or if it's
come
a
in,
hollow
or it
bullet.
will spray out. So shotgun one cartridge will blow out that way. Soft, like a snub nose one, will fold into the cartridge like that. This is perfect. And so you're like, this didn't kill him because it's impossible that it's intact. Like so. You then got how Oswald was treated afterwards, where he was arrested on the spot and then executed on the spot by a guy named Jack Ruby.
What, they shot him?
They shot him on the spot by a guy named Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was part of the CIA as well. And
which
then
we all know are very upstanding,
very reliable people.
Do everything that they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Not against the public interest.
Not at all. Jack Ruby later on was then arrested for connections with Charles Manson.
Right.
A physician went in to see Jack Ruby before.
Charles Manson, was that the guy who started the cult?
Yes.
Or is that the bald-headed guy?
No, that's Charles Manson.
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. Bronson's a sick character, but very different.
And he's English.
English, yeah. Charles Manson is the one who started the cult. Again, that's another awesome one. That's a fantastic one. We'll come to that in a minute. So Jack Ruby was involved with Charles Manson. So Ruby gets arrested. He's in the cell before the physician turns up. Absolutely normal. Physician goes to see him, comes back out again, and now Ruby is now raving mad. He's like hallucinating. He's seeing things crawling up the walls, and he gets blocked up and put in a nut house.
What, a bit like in Batman Begins with the Scarecrow?
Kind of. But that doctor was one of the doctors from MK Ultra.
Right. Okay. So are we saying that maybe who's the prisoner again? Sorry.
Jack Ruby.
Are we saying that Jack Ruby was potentially an MK Ultra? What do they call him? Puppet. And he went in and said the magic words, and he lost his mind.
Maybe.
That's as far as we know. Isn't it?
Yeah. But then you've killed so he goes crazy in a not house, eventually dies. So then that's two very key people who are now dead, who knew things about JFK, and he's now dead. They're both dead.
That supposedly had all the information.
Yeah. So you're like, what?
So what was the connection between him and Charles Manson then?
So there's a book called Chaos by Tom O'Neill, and Tom was a journalist who was writing a story about the Manson family, and he started this out just to be interested in it, and then he was trying to piece together all these facts about how it all came together, and he was like, there was so much evidence here that he had to just quit everything else he was doing as a journalist and dedicate the rest of his life to this. So it took him 20 years to get this evidence together, and then he put it all together and wrote a book called Chaos. So all he did was get all the facts. He makes no allusions at all as to why this all happened or what's it for. He just said this is what happened. So with Charles Manson was he was part of the hippie movement, and he was arrested for dealing with drugs, sort of drug dealing, as it were.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. When he was in prison, the CIA came to him and were basically said, look, we'll get you out. We'll give you LSD. We'll teach you how to use it, and we'll teach you how to get other people to be hooked on it as well. Because this was happening at the time of the Vietnam War. The hippie movement was the movement, same sort of one that Muhammad Ali was part of, where they were saying that we don't want anything to do with Vietnam. Vietnam is wrong. And the establishment were like, oh, look, we've got all these people saying that Vietnam's bad. All these hippies are saying it's bad. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. So they got Charles Manson to get them all hooked up on LSD. Mm-hmm. So this took like 8 years or so. And then, so over all that time, he grew his following, he grew his people, he grew his cult, as it were. But he would consistently keep getting arrested. And whenever he'd get arrested and thrown into prison, the prison, once they'd obviously put him through the system, they would get an anonymous call saying, let him go. And the author, Tom O'Neill, he found all these guards, he found all these officers, he found the emails and the letters and everything, not emails, he found all the letters proving that let him go kind of thing. And all these guys are like, all the police officers who arrested him were like, we were told it was above our pay grade and had to let him go. Mm-hmm. And so Charles Manson was consistently getting arrested for drug dealing and inciting violence, but he was consistently being released because he's a government granddad. He was like, no, you can get back out again. Yeah. So this all culminated on Manson convincing or coercing his then cult members using LSD to murder a family. And the whole point of that was to discredit the hippie movement, saying they're drug users, drug dealers, they're crazy people, they're murderers, because then that would shut them up about Vietnam.
And didn't they all etch crosses into their heads?
Yeah. Yes, the cult did. They're in the depths of LSD.
That's a bit mad, isn't it?
So then, that's a conspiracy theory, but this is, again, anyone who hasn't heard this, listen to Tom O'Neill on Joe Rogan or read the book Chaos. Outstanding. It's so interesting. But then the same thing with JFK. I got the information I know about JFK from Oliver Stone, who's a documentarian, who did a documentary on JFK. He's done one on Putin and all that sort of stuff. So he's a serious documentarian and journalist. So he doesn't fuck about. So he just gets all the facts he can together. Yeah. So this is on the far end, not towards the right spectrum of these are theories, but these are, let's face it, these are real.
Yeah. Well, so on that side of things, I wanted. Sorry, it makes me laugh. But I was watching Joe Rogan the other day with Alex Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about it is the majority of the stuff he talks about is correct.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's because of the knowledge he has that has sent him a bit crazy, or he was crazy before and then he's relaying this knowledge.
Yeah.
But
It's the first one.
do you reckon the knowledge has sent him crazy?
Yeah, so his insanity sort of like became proven from Sandy Hook. So Alex Jones, for anyone who doesn't know, is how do you describe it? It's an online personality is the only real way to say. He doesn't actually do anything.
Conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
however, the conspiracies he's talking about tend to end up not being theories. So
yeah,
do they really count?
Yeah, so he's probably one of the few people who makes a living out of conspiracy theories, as it were. Also, like, revealing the truth about everything. But he has been interested and involved in all that for years. And he became an alcoholic because of it, just to deal with it, because he's digging up all the topic is just the absolute filth of humanity. And so he's just trying to, obviously balance that out. But he became an alcoholic, he became really depressed, he became very unhealthy, and then he starts seeing like ghosts and demons everywhere. So then he said that Sandy Hook was a false flag event, and those weren't actually dead kids.
Well, so this is the one with the Sandy Hook thing that I've sort of tried to pick apart and understand now. With the false flag events, the whole point is that people actually die. The whole point is that it's got to be believable, and to make it believable, they have to actually kill people. So what was it that he was wrong about?
Maybe I'm actually using the wrong words. It wasn't a false flag event. He was saying they were crisis actors. I beg your pardon.
Oh, saying that
So
they
they
were
were
crisis actors.
so
again,
they were actors. I beg your pardon.
They weren't real.
Yeah.
Which is slightly different. But then in those false flags, would you have a mixture of crisis actors and real people? So the real people would say certain things, and then they bring the crisis actors to say the exact wording of what they want to be pushed.
Probably. Well, it's like there are. I think the most recent one I can think of is an FBI sting operation they did in. I think it was like the mayor of Portland or something. She was kidnapped by 15 of her bodyguards, as it were, only one of which was an actual criminal. The rest were all FBI informants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a mixture, because you've got everyone being like, oh, we're all bad people. It's like, well, actually only one of them's bad. The rest of them are all just like playing along to make it work.
So I haven't heard that story. What was that?
I can't remember her name, but they basically did it to try and flush out this one bad guy, as it were.
Oh, intentionally.
But you're there like, why are there so many FBI people here? It's like, this is a really weird ratio. Here's another one for everyone. If you want to look at FBI involvement in January 7th.
What, in London?
Nope, in America, in the storming of the White House.
Okay, yeah. I haven't done massive research on that one, but...
Yeah, so the storming of the White House...
I have seen that the police literally walked the first couple of people into the place.
Yeah.
And were letting them like walk around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, they're saying, oh, they broke in and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And you think, well, hang on, I can literally see the police officers like escorting this guy into the place that they shouldn't be in.
Exactly. But that's one. But the one I'm talking about is after that fact, there was a...
it was the main guy as well, you know, the main guy they showed on the thing with the head and the...
Yeah.
That they also showed on The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. And on Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well.
He's on Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's so funny. It's so good. They'll do Family Guy as well. But what's saying about the FBI is that after that happened, there was a reporter interviewing an FBI spokesperson, and they were saying, "Oh, was anyone in the FBI involved in that?" And the spokesperson said, "I can't answer that."
So that means yes then.
So and they're just like,
it's either a no.
It's either a no, or you just say no.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't answer that. It's like, well, it's obviously yes.
Yes,
but then you have to be like,
yeah.
why? Why were they involved in that? What did they gain by them either being members of the crowd? Maybe they're the ones who incited it.
Well, so interesting you say that is supposedly that's what happens a lot when you have large protests and crowds. Is you will intentionally have insiders, whether it's the police force or FBI or whoever it is, and in the UK it'll obviously be, what would it be, MI5? Would they really care about this too much? Or it might just be undercover.
Yeah, I think
police
MI5.
officers.
Yeah.
But they would intentionally, because the crowd mentality is singularly people are sane, but in a large group they turn insane.
Turn crazy. Yeah.
So what they'll do is have a peaceful protest or something like that, and then they'll get people in that would intentionally start riots.
Yep.
And then either they'd video that bit because some people will start following along, the more impressionable people would follow along and start rioting, and then they'd video that, and it'd be like the whole protest has been about these rioters.
Exactly. Now and then we've got to clamp down on all of these protests and everything.
And then they can stop them. And where was it? I'm pretty sure it was the London riots as well, where you physically see, or I saw loads of videos of them sort of peaceful protesting before it turned into the riots, and then the police literally just go in and start beating people up.
Yeah, and so you're gonna defend yourself.
So everyone starts rioting, obviously,
because they're getting beaten.
Because the police are coming in and beating people.
100%.
And then obviously they don't show that on the the BBC.
No.
Or MGM. So MSM, sorry. MGM's a stadium.
Yeah.
MSM is mainstream media.
Yeah, you go. Yeah.
But yeah, they don't show that to the masses out there. It's only to people like you and I that probably look into it a bit more.
Yeah, and these things are fascinating. Do you remember the same time we had riots after George Floyd? Do you remember, or did you ever see pictures and videos of people waking up in loads of cities in LA and there's just a stack of loose bricks on the corner of the road?
Yes. Yeah.
And people were like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And then no one knows where they came from, but they just appeared overnight in all of these cities, and you're like...
And then the people in masks just come around and start throwing them around.
Yeah, people are like, they've given us rioting material, and it's like, who put this here?
What's going on?
Because there's no criminal enterprise that is specifically a criminal enterprise that doesn't hide behind the veneer of a government interest who would be that organised.
But also what I thought was quite interesting about it is, so that was mostly, was it in LA?
Yeah.
It was in LA.
Mostly.
And this will help us move on to the next conspiracy theory. Where do most of the people in the Epstein debacle live?
That's a good question. I've never thought of it. I don't know.
Most of them are all actors, are they not?
Actors, politicians, heads of businesses.
Mostly live in Hollywood.
In
LA. Now, was this a ruse to try and destroy businesses to push people out of those areas? Because in America, it's not like it is in England. London is like the central hub, whereas in America, you've got various different, obviously, what is 51, 52 states?
I think it's just 50.
Something like that. You've got 50 states. But
we can have a state naming game in a minute. Right, go on.
Exactly, yeah. But then there's quite a few large states like LA, New York, Philadelphia, Florida.
Philadelphia's not a state.
Is it not?
No. It's in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yep.
Texas.
Yep.
There's a few more. But
there are a few more.
Yeah, but then and they've all got big central business hubs in, haven't they? So they could quite easily incite riots in that way, and the businesses would just move out to other areas, and they'd still get the federal income tax from them.
Yep.
So that is just a pure theory that I've just pulled out of my ring piece while we've been talking about it.
That's a good one. That's our first new one, everyone. First new one.
We've created a conspiracy theory.
There we go. It's ground zero, baby.
Exactly. But that could be a possibility, is to one, the George Floyd, to cover up the whole Epstein thing to stop people talking about it, and two, to start pushing the business leaders and stuff like that aren't involved in the whole ring out of the way.
It certainly could be, yeah, because you want to bury it. Well, it's so easy with us as a social group to just the things that just distract us straight on, because the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Yeah,
that was put in front of us
of
at the simultaneously as the Ghislaine Maxwell trial was going on.
I know, everybody
That's
was
a
talking,
pretty fucking big coincidence, everyone.
yeah, and everybody was talking about that.
Yeah,
Instead of the Ghislaine Maxwell.
and the problem is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard one was so compelling because she's just batshit crazy. She's shit in his bed, and you're like, why is it so interesting? Why is it so captivating?
But also, they both happen to be actors.
They're both actors are crazy. You have to be a crazy. Why is it that we?
But I mean, was it intentional
What that the?
that they were put up at the same time, being actors?
I would be inclined to say yes.
Conspiracy theory number 2.
I'd be inclined to say yes. And unfortunately, I don't think that's original, I'm afraid.
What? You think someone else has already come up with that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's the same thing as the fucking Titan sub. Same thing.
Yeah. What was that covering up? I never actually got to the bottom of what it was
I
covering.
think I was talking about just loads of laws overall that the UN had put in together. There was some guy I peripherally skimmed through who was saying, "Oh, there's all this Titan sub talk, but here's what's happened as well while this has been going on." And so I can't comment on that one, unfortunately. I don't know, but it's the same thing. Big distraction technique.
And yeah, the Amber Heard one. Amber Heard?
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard was just ridiculous. As you say, yeah, she's shit in his bed.
She's shit in his bed. Well, they're just crazy. What?
Didn't you say because she thought it would be funny or something like that?
I mean, it is pretty funny.
I mean,
it's very funny.
It's pretty funny for everybody else other than him.
And also, it'd be funny if you shat in your mate's bed. If your girlfriend shits in your bed, that's not funny. You're I'm done with that.
Yeah,
no.
I think bloke to bloke.
That's funny. Yeah,
That's
if
funny.
I shit in your bed, that'd be hilarious.
But either way round, your girlfriend shits in your bed, not funny.
No.
You shit in your girlfriend's bed.
She's gonna castrate you.
Exactly.
Yeah, straight away.
So.
Yeah, but why is it that we hold to such a high moral and deified standard people who are renowned the world over for being the best liars?
Actors,
liars. We acclaim them so much because they are sociopathically liars and they're so good at it. The best ones are like we revere because they can so convincingly be this other person.
Well, so I watched a film the other day and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a new one with Jason Statham, Hugh Grant.
The Gentleman.
No, it's not.
No, with Hugh Grant.
Yeah, Hugh Grant's in it as well, and he
I know what
basically
you're talking
plays the
about.
same guy as he's in The Gentleman.
I know what you're talking
but
about.
He's not a journalist. He's like a billionaire.
Yeah.
And in that, they've got to covertly, I think MI5 have got to covertly infiltrate this guy's business, and they actually use a famous actor.
Nice.
And they use the famous actor because the billionaire is like enamored by him, so it was an easy way for him to come in, and then he'd completely ignore the MI5 guys, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that side is to do with acting as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Covert surveillance.
Yeah, 100%.
Infiltrating things, spies. That's all acting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me thinking. I was like, hang on, it's pushing our face on the TV quite often. However, there are actors all over the place that we 99% of the time probably don't even realise. And
to a point, there's an argument that we all have to act in certain ways throughout the day, like how I am in regards to a member or to you, like I secretly hate you. Yeah. How I am to my clients, I have to, even if I'm feeling like a little bit tired or anything, it's like they don't want to know that I'm tired. They don't want to see I'm tired. Exactly. I have to be upbeat and friendly, and
you have to act
energetic and everything. Yeah, which for the most part I do. But if you're feeling something as simple as, oh, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, you can't show them that.
And that's that point brought me on to that realization that even just the language, action, is what they say when you start a film. But when you do something, that's an action.
Very interesting.
Anything you do is an act.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be fake,
but
anything you do is an act, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, because it's a motion,
an act of movement, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's quite interesting that nobody really puts that well, I'm sure some people have put that connection together. I personally just hadn't put that connection together till I started going down that rabbit hole.
Well, it's the same thing with the word fan. Like, if I'm a fan of this, do you know what fan is shortened for?
No? Fanatic?
Fanatic.
Is it? So I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like A whirly fan.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's short for whirly fan.
Yeah.
That's what it's short for. Yeah. Yeah, no, fan is. If I'm a fan of Lady Gaga, you're a fanatic of Lady Gaga. That's why the true fans are the true ones, because they're crazy people.
Yeah.
It's like there's one guy. There's a guy called Dimebag Darrell, who was a.
Did he sell dime bags?
No, he didn't. He was a. I can't remember what band he was, but he was a really famous guitarist in a metal band, and his number one fan killed him because he loved him so much he had to be the one to kill him.
Wow.
And then that fan was put in prison for murder. He got back out, went to a metal concert, for a different band. People recognised him.
They killed him.
They killed him. Yeah, stopped him to death. Yeah,
Good idea.
it was fantastic. Yeah.
But also, wasn't it a bit like John Lennon? Wasn't it a fan that killed
Yes,
him?
same thing. Yeah, it's crazy. Fans, famous people who have like ridiculous fans, they get like death threats and stalkers. That's another one as well.
Well, that could bring us nicely onto a Beatles conspiracy theory.
Go on.
Have you ever heard any Beatles conspiracy theories?
No.
So apparently, again, I don't know the ins and the outs of this, but I've
So we
brushed
are
across
not
it,
qualified to talk about this. Let's
exactly,
go.
Yeah, that's the best kind. But supposedly, Paul McCartney died like in the 80s or 70s or
Nice.
a long time ago, basically.
Nice.
And he was replaced by probably an MK Ultra
Nice.
actor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's theorised in the album cover for, I can't remember which album, let me find it. But one of the album covers, he's walking barefoot across
Grass.
no, he's walking barefoot across the zebra crossing.
Oh, the Abbey Road one.
The Abbey Road one,
Yeah.
And he's walking the opposite steps to everybody else. And he's got no shoes on.
Oh.
The relevance to that and him dying, I don't know, but there is a connection there.
This is what I love about these kind of conspiracy theories. They'll draw like ridiculous conclusions together, and you're like, why? That's whether you get a whole.
I think I'm probably butchering it. There's probably a bit in the middle of
Go on, Paul McCartney conspiracy
Let's do
theory. Oh, mate, my fucking calves are killing me. My God. Woof. It doesn't matter how much you feel like you've stretched out. You've still got to stretch that a little bit more. The Beatles are a fascinating one overall, just from their whole change in direction and look.
Doesn't even come up.
Have you made up another one?
No. I mean,
just made it up.
Usually when you type Paul McCartney conspiracy or something conspiracy,
Yeah.
it like finishes the rest for you and comes up.
Oh, come on. That was me thinking
Right,
you
here
could
we
have
go.
another one.
This is from Wikipedia, so a very, very trusted
Yes.
source.
Let's
Says
go.
Paul McCartney is dead. Paul McCartney is dead is an urban legend and conspiracy theory alleging that the English musician Paul McCartney of the Beatles died in 1966 and was secretly replaced by a lookalike.
66. Fuck.
The rumours began circulating in 1966, gaining broad popularity in September 69, following reports on American college campuses. According to the theory or rumour, McCartney died in a car crash, and to spare the public from grief, the surviving Beatles, aided by Britain's MI5, replaced him with a McCartney lookalike,
Nice.
subsequently communicating this secret through subtle details of their album. Proponents perceived clues among elements of Beatles songs and cover artwork, clue hinting proved infectious, and by October 69 had become an international phenomenon. Rumours declined after Live magazine published an interview with McCartney in November 69. The phenomenon was the subject of analysis in the field of sociology, psychology, and communication during the 1970s. Paul McCartney parodied the hoax with the title and cover art of his 1993 album, Paul is Alive. The legend was among 10 of the world's most enduring conspiracy theories, according to the Times in
How have I never heard of this?
2009.
That's so absurd.
And this is the photo for your reference.
Go on.
If you like, he's got no shoes on. And his legs are the complete opposite of what everybody else's are.
What is the fucking relevance?
Because he's dead, basically, apparently.
Oh, I see. And when, that's just his Because that's the one thing his clone wants to do, his lookalike. He's like, I don't want to get caught, but I don't want to get caught. So I'm just going to let everyone know that I'm not the real one. And they'll get it. Because these people are smart. They'll get what I mean when I have my feet the wrong way around.
And there's a lot more
Jesus
on here. But there's also one, I'm sure, about John Lennon. Because in one of the songs, at the beginning, he's saying, shoot me. But it's quite vague. Unless you hear it. I can't remember what song it is. Let me find it. John Lennon.
Is that like one of those songs, the same theory as like some of those songs, or some of just songs in general, if you play them backwards, there's a whole different meaning?
Yes, there are some, like that. Apparently lots of Rihanna songs are like that. So I listen to it all the time.
What, Rihanna in reverse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Especially in reverse.
That's how you fall asleep.
Yeah, in Come Together. If you listen to Come Together, at the beginning you hear him...
Shoot.
Yeah, but apparently he's actually saying shoot me.
Oh, of course he is. As opposed to just a random noise.
Random noise.
What a tune.
Banger.
Weird lyrics though. Come together right now over me.
Yeah, it is.
And you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
I was listening to that with the missus the other day, and we both sort of came to that conclusion. It was been like,
You both came.
yeah. Over him.
Over him.
Yeah.
They are. What was one? I was looking at top book on that stack. There is "War is a Racket" by Lord Smetley Butler.
Yeah.
Who wrote that in 1933?
Oh well.
Saying how we can go to
Which
war.
it 100% is.
Yeah, but because he was a retired 3-star general, and he was saying that whenever you want to go to war, if any country wants to go to war, the children of all the politicians and government officials have to go and be part of that war on the front line.
Yeah, I think.
See how many of them want to go to war.
Well, again, we don't know the ins and the outs of this, but we know as a matter of fact that the Iran-Iraq war was predicated on
A lie.
a complete lie,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens to be that they've got a lot of oil over there. Strange, isn't it?
That's really funny. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very strange. Well, American US forces were busted in Afghanistan when they were shipping the coffins
They
back.
had a lot of gold as well.
A lot of gold. They were shipping the coffins back from Afghanistan. There weren't all bodies in those coffins. There was a shit ton of heroin.
Yeah. Well, so I'll get the figures up, but there was supposedly in Afghanistan 40% of the world's heroin grown.
Yep.
And then when America went in, it went up to 90%.
Yeah, because you then have US troops guarding heroin supplies.
The poppy fields, yeah.
Yeah. Which is just insanity. People just go... Because war, for the most part now, is predicated on money. For those assets that are available when those areas are going into, or if not, for the very nature of funding the military-industrial complex.
Well, this is the BBC, also a very reputable source.
The best. The most reputable.
Probably more reputable than Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Or us.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, I think us making up figures is probably more reputable.
Yeah, we're more fucking accurate than the BBC is, yeah.
Exactly. And we've pulled them out of our arsehole.
That's a brilliant way to look at it. That's a very good point. I like it.
Right, Afghanistan used to produce more than 80% of the world's opium. Heroin made from Afghan opium makes up 95% of
Heroin's
the market.
derived from opium.
Yeah, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
That's why I always thought it was weird that we have a poppy.
Yeah.
As there's also another conspiracy theory in there somewhere.
Circle back to that.
Yeah, we're trying to make something up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Start a craze. The BBC has now travelled into Afghanistan and used satellite analysis to examine the effects of direct action of opium poppy cultivation. Blah, 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 blah. Afghanistan Opium Survey. Interesting. Why does it always come up with the most reputable sources first? Wikipedia.
Nice. Let's go.
So Afghanistan harvests produce more than 90% of the illicit heroin globally, more than 95% of the European supply. The country has been the world's leading illicit drug producer since 2001. Very strange. What happened in 2001?
I don't know. They had a lovely import-export business set up.
Yes. We went over and helped them with it, did we not?
We did. Okay, here's one of them. He was talking about Iran and Afghanistan and Iraq. So, okay, I want to get this name right. I think it's Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney, who was he vice president at some point for Bush? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So there's a general
Who
named
also happens to be like his second cousin.
Oh, there you go. Nepotism at its finest.
Yeah.
So Dick Cheney was vice president at the time. I think that's right. When America goes into Iraq, once that conflict is settled a few years later, Dick Cheney has no longer in that position, and he's then like vice president of Halliburton.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
Halliburton is the company who then got all of the no-bid contracts to rebuild Iraq.
Yeah. It's insane. I wonder how he got those contracts.
I wonder.
Well, it's also, wasn't it George Bush Sr. was head of the CIA?
Yep.
He may have even started the CIA, I think.
No, he didn't start.
No?
I'm
I'm talking about George Bush's granddad.
Yeah, Herbert Walker. Oh. So not
Not his dad.
not George W. Bush, not Herbert Walker Bush, the
No.
one before that.
I think he was called George Bush as well.
Yes, you had heard. Oh, right, okay.
So then his granddad,
Yeah,
or Herbert's dad,
yeah.
was, I think, pretty sure he started the CIA.
Oh. Yeah, that's gonna be.
And funny enough, his sons happen to be the president.
Yeah, that is funny. And a family of spies, because Herbert Walker was definitely in the CIA.
Yeah, because he was to do with the Taliban.
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me. Harry Truman.
Fine.
Created it in
Ugh.
47.
Oh God.
Signed the National Security Act into law, a major impetus. But again, this is Wikipedia.
May I just say, coming back to JFK, one of his main points that he wanted to achieve as...
Oh no, Herbert Walker is the granddad, isn't it?
Oh, these are...
Because it's George Bush and George W. Bush.
Oh, okay, I'll bad them. Anyway, JFK, he wanted to get rid of the CIA.
Yes, I did hear about that.
So he wanted to get rid of them, which gives them a very good motive to get rid of him.
Right, his name... So George Bush's dad is George Herbert Walker Bush. So who's his dad? Parents, Prescott Bush. That's it, Prescott Bush. American banker and politician.
American wanker and politician.
That's it.
Yep. While you're there, Max, can you look up something for me, please?
Yes.
Can you look up the salaries? I'm trying to think how to phrase this as a Google. Basically want to find somewhere that will list the salaries of the people who are trying to clean up the homeless people in LA. So let's say LA Homeless Committee salaries. Let's try that.
How much does Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority in the United States pay? The average Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority salary ranges between $61,000 for a spa coordinator. Spa, is it?
Spa coordinator for the homeless.
Yeah, this is on Indeed.com as well. To $165 for an executive officer. Homeless director. Average Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority director yearly pay is $150,000, which is 50% above the national average. That's also Indeed.
So you've got those there. So this I saw on a podcast about a year ago, and in the last 3 years, the homeless population of Los Angeles has like quintupled in size. Like it's absurd. Like, it's the size of Reading now, and they just keep pumping more and more money into these roles and titles and jobs for people to fix the problem. But those salaries keep going up, and the homeless population keeps going up as well. So they're not doing anything, and they're getting paid a fuck ton of money to do it. Because there was a lawyer who I listened to who found this.
How does that work?
And he showed it was just corruption, isn't it?
That's like me doing less work and being paid more.
Yes. So if you one day you get to be mates with...
Government is a racket.
Government is a racket. If you get 100% is. If you get to be mates with the, the treasurer of Reading Council, he can just be like, okay, we're going to set up a fund for you to help the youth of whatever. And, what we're going to do? We're going to, have online courses that help the kids or whatever. It's an online course. You don't actually have to produce anything, and you can get paid whatever the fuck you want. Because if you just have a mate who's like, I've got this, you're like, okay, we'll make up a fund, or we'll make up a fund's a good one as well, or a charity or some shit like that.
Well, I haven't actually looked into this. This is just a story I was told, but it was on the news because my old man told me. It was one of the councils, I believe up north, invested something like 20 million into this solar farm company. And the guy went out and bought houses, yachts, holidays, all those types of things, and then ended up going bankrupt before they'd ever got any money.
Nice.
And the council are now like trying to do him for fraud. And he's like, well, I haven't actually done anything wrong. I spent the money that the business has earned.
Gotcha, because it was because he went through a business as opposed to back through the council, yeah.
And he did it legitimately.
Nice.
And it's
nice.
And obviously the council is sat there with
a
dick in their hands trying to work out how they're going to get the money back, which obviously they're not going to.
Because they technically, he hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the law, he hasn't done anything wrong. No. By sort of human decency, he obviously has.
Yeah.
This is an
morally he's fucked up.
This is an interesting point that I came back to. I was listening to Chris Williamson and this lady Kathy, Howard. She's I think she's a behavioural psychologist, and she conducted a survey at university campuses and asked men and women this variety of different questions, and it was something along the lines of, if you asked the question, would it be better to know something that was objectively true but could harm someone else, or would it be better to know something that was was morally the right choice, and just ignore anything that was like objectively anything that could harm anyone else? Throughout the whole study, she did all these various different questions. She came out that men overall preferred things that were objective truth, regardless of if they were good or bad, and women liked things that were morally good and ignored things that were objectively bad if they hurt someone else. So they would prefer to know about things or propagate things that are morally good and about support and inclusivity and help and everything, and will ignore anything that is objectively bad, even if it might be true.
So effectively, men prefer to hear the harsh truth.
Yes.
And females want to hear the comfortable lie.
Yes.
Or the comforting lie.
Yes. Because I was halfway through the episode and I was like, Jesus Christ! I nearly crashed the car. I was just so like enraptured. I was like, fucking hell! Because I will find it and I will come back with stats and figures. But I was just like, well, I just had to share this now because it was just, I was like, fuck, yes. It's just like a fucking light bulb gets turned on. You just hear this shit.
Do you think that comes down to, or comes back to, men, as you said, tend to want to hear the truth so that we can analyse it and work out the best way to act? Whereas when men tell you their problems, they want to get to the solution so they can solve it. When females tell you their problems, they tend to want you to emotionally comfort them.
They want validation.
Yeah, validation rather than
the solution.
To resolve the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, because which is so interesting. It's so interesting that I have such a difference there. But once we hear that revelation, I was like,
makes sense.
And again, it ties in with my thinking about this is just another symptom of what's happened with women being more involved in like everything. It's something ridiculous now where I think is it upcoming CEOs are all majority female.
Mhm.
So not existing ones that have been in their position for ages, but the new era of CEOs are female.
More percentage.
Because they're coming up, yeah.
And where do we get that from?
Again, Chris Williamson.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And to be fair, he's fucking good with his stats, so he's really on it. With which leads nicely on to Barbie. Barbie should gross $1 billion, apparently.
$1 billion?
Yeah. More people turned out to see Barbie than saw Oppenheimer.
Really?
It's done 700 million in the box office. Oppenheimer's done 430 globally.
Oh, really? Well, I went to see Oppenheimer. I couldn't see Barbie, unfortunately. I was busy.
Double feature. You could have done it.
Exactly, yeah.
How was Oppenheimer?
No, it was a good film. Very good. It's interesting to see, the story behind it, because I didn't know masses about it before, other than the fact that they dropped the bombs.
Yeah.
That's all I really knew. Didn't know about the science behind it.
Hmm.
I was talking to a friend about it at the weekend, and there's a part in it where Oppenheimer, doesn't really want to get involved and doesn't want to do it. But then he basically just comes to the conclusion, it's like, well, if we don't do it, they're still going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So we may as well be the first ones to do it. So then we've got the controlling hand in that scenario. Which is, I think a lot of life is like that, really, isn't it? There's certain things we don't want to do, but we know we have to for various reasons.
How many people died from both of those bombs?
I think it was 250,000 in Hiroshima, and I think it's about 150 in Nagasaki.
Jesus,
that's a lot, just from 2 bombs.
And we could safely say that they were almost all of them were just innocent people.
Yeah, the majority.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Death toll of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is the first one that come up. Counting the dead at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Well, that's a bit ominous. Oh, not quite as much as I thought, but still quite a lot. So it says, because they're all estimates, it says the most credible estimate is 70,000 at Hiroshima and 40,000 at Nagasaki. That's the lowest figure. The highest figure is 140,000 at Hiroshima and 70,000 at Nagasaki.
So if we put them together, that is the population of Reading times 3.
Population of Reading is about 250,000, isn't it? I believe.
And then the stat I saw the other day is absolute bollocks. So it's the same. Population of Reading and a bit more, 70.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Like that, yeah.
There you go.
Let's have a look.
Was that time?
It is, yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll finish that and then we'll.
Right, so this is back from census in 2021.
Yep.
So this is bearing in mind Woodley, Early, and all that don't count as Reading.
Right.
But they are Reading.
Yeah.
That is Reading.
Yeah.
We're Winnersh. We'll all agree that's Reading.
Yeah.
It says 174,000.
Okay.
But the greater within the Reading borough boundary, while it's 240,000 people who live in the Reading's greater urban area.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Let's have a look at the photo. Yes, that doesn't include quite a lot. Early Sonning,
Oh.
Calcutt,
Okay, it's not going to include me then.
Purley.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Most of it's not included in that.
Jesus.
Oh, here's my favourite one. Will Brazil, you will love this one. There's a question that says, is Reading the biggest town in England?
I'm going to say no.
Reading is the largest town in England.
Oh, damn it. To be fair, I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'll take that.
But again, this is from Wikipedia.
Yeah, because you've got those... because the only reason we're not a city is we don't have a fucking cathedral.
cathedral or a high enough population to be able to match it. And we're
High enough population.
So if you have a certain amount of population, you can get classed as a city. But like every year, obviously that increases, and every year we're just shy of it. I think it's about 250 at the moment.
The thing is, with there are cities that are smaller but have a cathedral.
Yeah, like Bath.
Yeah, Bath was what I had in mind as well. Yeah.
Where did I go the other day? Warwickshire.
Is Winchester a city?
No. Oh, is it?
Because that's got a cathedral. That's pretty small.
Oh, if it's got a cathedral, then it will do.
Has it got a cathedral? I might be confusing it with Bath. No, I'm thinking of Bath. Never mind. Now Winchester's old as hell though, so it must be a city.
Winchester,
Yeah.
city in England.
There you go. Yeah, that's not big at all. That's a small place.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got off the main topic that we were talking about, which is conspiracies. But we've gone through a number that we...
Oh, there's loads more out there as well.
Did we touch on the ones that we believe to be true?
Briefly to begin with, yeah, we said JFK, we said Gulf of Tonkin,
Yeah.
we said the moon. I said the moon.
Oh, we haven't hit that one yet. So okay, maybe I was going to say we'll split it up into two parts.
We're going back and forth.
We were going to do a 2-part episode on this one, and I was thinking we could do the
Well, we can.
believable conspiracy theories / facts.
Okay,
first.
well, we should have agreed that to begin with.
Yeah. And then the second one, we could have done the unbelievable conspiracy theories and to try and prove them.
To be fair, we still can do that actually, because we've only briefly touched on the nonsense ones. We have gone into depth on the factual ones, so we can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do that.
Cool.
Right. Thank you for coming, guys. This is the end of episode 19 of the Just Discourse podcast.
This is going to be what was I thinking of as a name? This is going to be Loony Talk. What was it? Yeah, Looney Tunes Talk is part 1. So we'll do part 2 next time.
Brilliant.